Atlanta escaping by the hair on their chinny chin. They get out of Vegas with a 15-9 win. A 15-9 win in favor of the team from Georgia. And they keep pace in the NFC South. So the Falcons, 7-7. They end a 4-game El Skidoroo for Atlanta, and they remain a game behind first-place Tampa Bay. But Atlanta owns the head-to-head tiebreaker. So should the Buccaneers stumble and Atlanta find a way to keep winning here, they have that big advantage. There's 3 games left. And as they say at every great horse race, down the stretch they go. All right, so let us discuss the question. Now, normally the better stories in the losing locker room, the Raiders are so bad, I can't talk Desmond Ridder. I can't. I have failed you. The Raiders are so pathetic, I tried to find an angle to talk about the Raiders to start, and there is none. So I'm going to go with Atlanta because, even though they won the game, I don't think they did. I mean, they didn't play very well. All right, so let us discuss the question. Let's focus in on quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are better people than us. They're more important people than us. They get paid more money than us. They get better-looking spouses than us. So let's talk about quarterbacks. So, question, how are things looking for number 18 in your program, but number 1 in your heart, Kirk Cousins, with the Falcons? How are things looking for Kirk Cousins with the Falcons? So I have Dark Arts, Don Henley, and Hollywood Classic. And we will combine all of these things together, and plenty of seats available on the secondary market. If you are a fan of the Raiders, plenty of seats available for a nominal fee on the secondary market. Now, to answer the question, how are things looking for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta? The victory, as often is the case, works as some Old Spice. It temporarily helps cover up the stench. I say temporarily because the stench is still there. Kirk Cousins, if he was a dog, he would need a flea bath because he does play like a dog with fleas. He does. And Atlanta, they are paying, last I checked, Kirk Cousins top dollar to play quarterback there, top-level money to play QB in Atlanta. And the return on investment, not very good. Not very good. Now, Raheem Morris and the management there with the Falcons are very stubborn. I respect that. I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn as well. So I do respect that. So Raheem Morris, very stubborn. He and the brains here, they collectively have decided we are going to keep the status quo. All right, we're going to keep the status quo, and we're going to send this guy back out there rather than bench Kirk Cousins. Now, most people that have watched the Falcons play would say, well, you benched Kirk Cousins. He's been just terrible. There's no reason to play him. You drafted a quarterback in the first round. Why not play that guy? So I bring this up, and the Falcons continue to roll out Kirk Cousins, and he continues to play mediocre football. In this game, they went Harry Potter, dark magic, dark arts is what they did in this particular game. The Falcons, if you watch the second game, you should get some kind of award, like a little puffy sticker for watching the game. And then secondly, the Falcons ran, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I don't know, you could correct me. It sounded to me, and the way I saw it and the way I heard it, it sounded to me like they ran a rudimentary hide-the-quarterback offense. So they were so stubborn, they didn't want to bench Cousins and play Michael Penix Jr. So instead, they're like, we're going to play Cousins, but we're going to try to run that old hide-the-quarterback offense. Hide the quarterback. Dark arts. Hide the quarterback in plain sight. What's my evidence? Against the NFL's worst team, it's not my opinion, it's a fact. The Raiders would have the number 1 pick in the draft. They're the worst team in the NFL. And against the worst team in the NFL, the Falcons ran 57 offensive plays. They attempted 17 passes out of 57 offensive plays. So less than 30% of the time, 70% on the ground, less than 30%, they attempted the forward pass. And when they threw the pass, Cousins completed all of 11 passes. That's it, 11 passes, 112 yards passing, less than 7 yards per attempt. He had the touchdown, had an interception, should have had more than that. Even though he only attempted 17 passes, passer rating below 80, which is not good. If you're new to this, that's not good. To rephrase this, Cousins is not worth, as our old colleague Jim Mora would say, not worth diddly poo, because he couldn't do diddly poo. Here's Raheem Morris, though, the coach there in Atlanta, on Kirk Cousins, and pointing out that even though the Falcons won this game, we'll let him say.
He's got to play better.
Okay.
And, obviously, you got to go back. You got to be able to look at everything. But
what do you have to look? 17 passes.
Better. We got to find a way to get him to play better. And obviously, we'll get to work tomorrow, and that's a part of our process, right? You go, you look at the tape, you review with the people that needs to be reviewed with. We get all the coordinators in the room. We'll talk with everybody.
Yeah.
And we got to play better at the quarterback position.
Yeah. Just get out a Ouija board at this point. Get out a Ouija board. Here's more. How about Kirk Cousins, the man of the hour? Actually, this is Raheem Morris again. One more from Raheem Morris. Here's Raheem Morris, and was asked about, you'll hear the question and the answer, about whether to make a quarterback change. Listen.
Are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
We got everybody in our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about it at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. So for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. That's just the mentality that we're going to have.
All right, so he didn't answer the question. And really, the reason he didn't answer the question, Raheem Morris, is because it's not his decision. That decision is made at the ownership level. And Arthur Blank, when he's done finagling the prices at Home Depot, he might wake up later on Tuesday and say, I want to make a change. I would like to make a change. He'll make a call or a text, or maybe he'll use a messenger pigeon. But he will, one way or another, let the message be known, and then it's out of Raheem Morris's hand. So Raheem Morris did not answer the question. Now, page 2. One thing that Raheem Morris did say in the locker room following Atlanta's win over the Raiders on Monday night, he praised his Falcons, talking about their resiliency and their toughness in the victory in Las Vegas. He used those words, resiliency and toughness, to describe Atlanta's win in Vegas. Is that how you saw it? Yeah, so I didn't see it. I mean, me and Incatera saw the same thing. We did not see that. I'm shaking my head. No on that. That is what's known as a smoke screen, is what that is from Raheem Morris. He's blowing smoke is what he's doing here. The soundtrack for the Atlanta Falcons this season is a Don Henley, Glenn Frey classic from the Eagles. You can't hide. You can't hide your lion eyes, right? Your lion eyes are right there. They're trying to. And there's no way, I've done the calculus on this, there's no way for you to show resiliency and toughness barely beating the worst team in the NFL. That is impossible to do. That is impossible to do. That is a load of manure, fresh manure. The stat sheet, for what it was even. It was a one-score game. The Raiders had multiple opportunities to get into the end zone at the end. The 2024 Falcons are a JAT squad. They're a JAT squad, just a team, just another team. That's what the Falcons are. And they're a quasi-contender because of the division that they're in, location. I saw Tampa Bay up close against the Chargers. That's a team, while they're not as good as Philadelphia, that Tampa Bay team, they don't suck, right? They don't suck. They kicked the Chargers' ass in the second half. You certainly fire the cannons when it comes to Tampa Bay. And in terms of style points, much more impressive, the Buccaneers and their ship versus the Dirty Birds from the ATL. There's nothing about this team that says good. Right? This is a standard issue, unremarkable Falcon team. That's just the way it is. All right, now, final point. So let's go to the Raiders. The only thing to discuss here is the coach. The quarterback we know is not going to be there. The only one that will definitely be back next year is the tight end Bowers. But what about the coach? So how does the picture look? How does the picture look for Coach Antonio Pierce with the Raiders, who have now lost 10 consecutive games? So Pierce, it would appear, is on borrowed time. Is that fair? No, it is not fair. Is that guaranteed? It is not guaranteed that Antonio Pierce is gone. If you ask me which direction the wind is blowing at this moment, the wind is blowing towards Antonio Pierce not being back as coach of the Raiders, that he is on borrowed time, coaching an undermanned Raider team Every week is a Tom Cruise Hollywood classic, Mission Impossible. When you're trotting out Desmond Ridder at quarterback, you're doing everything in your power to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You really are. Right? Desmond Ridder should be delivering boxes somewhere. He might be bad at that. That's what he should be doing. He should not be delivering the football or trying to deliver the football. What a suck-bag quarterback. I know times are tough. That's where we are. Desmond Ridder's the guy you get if you really want that top pick in the draft. And I will say, at least they haven't quit. The Raiders, it would have been easy to just lose 38-0 or something like that. But the Raiders, every week now, the talent disparity, they have to always out-hustle, outwork, and outplay everybody because they just don't have the talent. Now, it could always be worse. Tom Brady is lurking like a snake in the grass around the Raider. I guess a snake in the sand because I've been to the Raider facility. There's not a lot of grass there, so a snake in the sand or a snake slithering around the cacti. And it's all about Tom Brady's influence. So Antonio Pierce is going to need compromising photos of Brady with some foreign object or extraterrestrial in order to survive. If you love playing Powerball, the glass is half full. If you love playing Powerball, the Raiders now, losing 10 straight, have maintained the lead for the top pick in the 2025 draft. It's a neck-and-neck race. It's based on opponent's winning percentage. If you're tied for the same record, the Raiders are technically tied with the Giants. They are both 2-12, but because of the opponent's strength of schedule, the Raiders are in the lead. And if you're curious, can the Raiders finish the season on a magical carpet ride of 0-13? Well, who do the Raiders have left? They play Jacksonville, New Orleans, both those games, 50-50 games, although the game is in New Orleans. The Jacksonville game's in Vegas. So that's a turning point game. Do you lose to Jacksonville? And that would be massive. Then you close it out with the Chargers. You would assume the Chargers have to win that game at the end, but maybe not. They have the final playoff spot in the AFC West.